Hello, friends and families and loved ones. I welcome you all once again to my segment of today. This is Mr. B.O., a full-fledged Igbo son and teacher of Igbo language, culture and traditions. Culture and traditions are an embodiment of the way of life of a people or a tribe. Today we are going to talk about communications, phone calls, to be specific. Yes. What is a phone call? A phone call is just the quickest way of communicating with one another, unlike where you have to write a letter, send it, or a telegram, or kind of email or what. So once you do that via a phone call, the problem has been sorted out. Before someone will type or write or kind of go through Telegram, if such a thing still exists now, you have made your call and the purpose for which you made a call has been discussed. You've got first-hand information before someone else who uses or who has used another means of communication is done with his or hers. But there's one big problem that usually, you know, face people that people usually are faced with. It's about who should call. It's about returning calls. When you're called, your ability to return calls, and some people don't care about calling. They just feel it's not of your business, or rather they are too busy, or it's just too, is something that does not require them to kind of invest their time on. So if you think you cannot invest your time on calling people who call you or caring about people by calling them to know, inquire about their well-being, so what actually takes your time? If you think you don't have time, you don't have to call. People should be calling you. Even when you're called, sometimes you don't even answer your phone. And you think everybody should be calling. Or sometimes you feel you're being disturbed when people call, or when someone so dear to you decides to call you or calls you. So how do you deal with that? A lot of people work with telecommunications company, but they don't call. Even most of the telecommunication companies we have here give airtime to their staff members, that will see them to the next month. Sometimes such airtime is not finished, it's not exhausted before the month ends. They don't buy airtime. They have access to airtime, but they find it hard to call. They don't call. And when someone calls, they look at the person as being stupid. You may not call the person a stupid person, but someone who keeps calling you and you don't call them, you don't want to know about their well-being. They don't call you to ask you for money. Because some people would say they don't take calls because most times the reason people call them is for money. There are people who call you and don't ask you for money. Not that they are very rich, but they just want to know how you are. They're interested in your well-being. It's not in your money. But because you think people call you, you are rich, you are a man of means, then any call that comes to your phone is all about money. What you're trying to say is that people should not call you. Sometimes you will tell people not to call, you will call them, and you don't end up calling. So how do you want people to see you? How do you want people to view you? What kind of human being do you think you are? If anybody calls you, does not mean that they don't have any other business to do. If anybody makes sure that he or she calls you, asks after your well-being, it doesn't mean that the only problem they've got, the only duty they've got is to call you. They've got a lot of things that they do, but it's just that they care. They map out time to call you. Even the list of what they've got, they use it to, they don't have much, the list they've got, they use it to call you, just to keep in touch. There's nothing bad about it. All you have to do is to return call. If somebody calls you and you miss the call, it behooves you to call back. If you can't call back, if you're so held up in one thing or the other, you can't call back. You can send a text message. That's why text messages are there. They play secondary issues. If someone cannot call, then you make use of them to reach the other person. If you don't call, you don't send text messages, then you are not really getting it right. Even if people will call you to ask you for money, you still have to answer your phone. Nothing stops you from telling them you don't have what they want from you. If they want money, you don't have the money. Tell them you don't have, even if you do have the money, but you don't want to part with it based on the person asking for it. You can still answer your phone and explain to them. Tell them whatever you want to tell them. But don't make them look stupid. Don't make them think that, okay, because you've got money, you think they're no longer in your class. It's because of certain attitudes that make others to go after other people, after some people's lives. Yes. Some people think, okay, the reason you don't answer your call, answer your phones is because when they call is because you think you are superior to them. They are inferior. They have not arrived as much as you would want someone to, arrive so that the person will be on the same echelon as you. Then they think the best thing to do is to deal with you somewhere. You wouldn't know what happened to you. Something will start happening. You wouldn't know what caused it. Perhaps you haven't experienced such a thing. You are the cause of that. If you cannot call, send text message. A mere text message will do. Even if you know why someone is calling you, still answer your phone. If you're opportune or you are in a position to answer that call, please do. If you cannot answer that call, you send a text message telling them you will call them back, or telling them to call you back at so time. Don't say call me back without giving them any time frame. You have to set a time frame. Okay, call me in the next 30 minutes. Call me in the next 1 hour. Call me in the next 2 hours. Call me in the next 5 hours. But before you say that, make sure that you will be ready to answer your phone when they call. Not when they call you disappoint them by not answering your phone, or when you answer your phone, you talk to them in such a manner that will make them look inferior. You don't debase people because you think you are bigger, you're better off. Phone calls are very important. They save lives. It's not all the time that your relations will be close to where you are. But a mere phone call from someone, you may not have airtime, even as rich as you are, you may not have a dime on your phone. Then you are in a terrible situation. People around you, people at that spot would want to help you. All they need is to get the number of the person they want to talk to. You want them to talk to you on your behalf, and they'll do that. So what will happen if that sweetheart of yours, who you think deserves your phone calls, were not there when you found yourself in a terrible situation? What would you do? Would you keep waiting until the person arrives? How would that be possible? How would they know you're in a terrible situation that needs your attention, that needs help? So people do that for you. People do that, for them, kind of to play their roles when they are not there. Your so-called loved ones, your so-called sweethearts. So that is why phone is one of the reasons you should always return calls. Call people to know how they are doing, even if you cannot help them with your money, even if you cannot help them in one way or the other, even if you cannot lift them from that terrible situation they are in, even if you cannot better their lives. From time to time, as long as you have access to their numbers, give them a call. Don't tell me that you're too busy to call, because anybody cannot be too busy to call. No matter how busy anyone is, they will still find time to eat. You could still use a minute of your time to call someone to know how they are doing. You see that woman you think that's always busy. She's not busy. If she really cares and loves you, she'll always reach you through phone. She will call you. She can't be too busy for you if she actually feels something for you. You see that man that always tells you he's too busy. Forget it. If he really cares about you, no matter the volume of work that surrounds him, he will still find time for you. That's just the gospel truth about phone calls. It doesn't have to be all you have to have all the time in the world before you dial someone's number and begin to call them. If you can't call anyone, it means you don't care about them. Don't tell me you don't have time. You're always too busy. As long as you don't sleep, eat, wake up on duty, you have time. Spend that time wisely by reaching out to people who matter, especially people whose 11 digits are in your custody. If you have their phone numbers, reach out to them. Even if they are too poor that you can't measure up with them, reach out to them. Call them from time to time. Even if you can't help them, reach out to them. Return calls when you miss them. Don't just look at them as, oh, this call. When you've checked your call, that you find out, okay, you look at this. Oh, these people don't matter. Why would I waste my time to call them? Everybody matters. It could be the person that will help you when your chips are down. When the chips are down, it could be that same person you think is inferior, is secondary. It doesn't really matter. That will spring surprises by helping you. It's not always those people you trust that will help you when you're in need. So that is why every call matters. Don't treat any call or the caller as someone inferior. You wouldn't know what tomorrow will bring. The person who might be your helper tomorrow. If somebody does not help you directly and help someone that's related to you, the person has ended up helping you. Return calls when you get them. If you cannot call back, send a mere text message. And when you give your time that you're going to call, make sure you call against all odds. Keep to your promises. It's very important. Calls help. Don't let people begin to see you as someone who is riding on a high horse. If you are one of them, please calm down from that high horse of yours. Return calls. Call back. It's very important. You don't let people feel that they should stop calling you because you don't call back. You don't care about them. You don't ask after their well-being. If somebody is interested in your well-being, it means the person cares about you. So you should always pay back as well. You don't always call people because they have come off standard, they are rich. If they see you as important, someone important in their life, you should as well see them as someone important or people important in your own life. That's the way it goes. Don't treat anybody calls as inferior. These people shouldn't be called back. They shouldn't be called at all. This is the person I expect to call. It doesn't work that way. All right. Let's meet some other time. That's all for now, folks. Do have a wonderful time. Bye-bye.